Oh, okay, right. Is that... Okay, so Rumble's working. Where do you edit the... Oh, they don't make this easy. No, I don't want that on Minecraft. Where's the... Oh well, we'll have to figure this out and fiddle around with it later. Oh, there we go. Oh, YouTube takes its time to catch up. Right, so stop that. Pause that. And pause that. Right, so... Wow. I don't know how people do the multi-channel streaming. Because each of them uses a different setup. Anyway, so I haven't done a stream in a while, so I have to just keep checking to make sure that the system's working, particularly because it's being paid for. So anyway, we are just going to be looking through some old Return to Castle Wolfenstein maps to test or to check the streaming. This is a little annoying actually. So how do you edit? Oh, I see. Where is it? Right, so yeah, just looking through some old Return to Castle Wolfenstein levels, single player levels in Radiant, GtkRadiant, open. Yeah. That's that bug. Preferences. Was it that one, I think? Nope. .3D view. Free look. Okay. Yeah, so I have to do it old school. So that basically means instead of using the mouse to look around, having to use the so it's shift, no, is it shift? I see. So it's Control, right click, strafes. Shift doesn't do anything, and then it's just the arrow keys or right click, hold, and that will move you in the direction. So this is an old level. This is Relic Hunt. And this looks like the final version that was published. So this being the source file, this will be released. Pardon me. This will be released. How do you look down? I'm sure there was a way to. Oh, I'm sure there was a way to. Just check the settings again. Preferences. So free look strafes forward and back. So which one was it? Yeah, definitely not that. If I remember correctly, in order to fix that, you have to change the layout. Let's try restarting exit. Dang it. Stop showing me the... What's it doing that for? I have to load in. Project file. Let's try that again. Yeah, so basically the old versions of GtkRadiant aren't particularly brilliant for and of course it hasn't kept, it's not particularly compatible with dang it, it's not compatible with Windows 10. So this is good. Those are clip brushes or missing textures. Clip brushes. Alpha 50. Yeah, so anyway, this is the final version, so this is what will be released. There's a source file. I have to do some tidying up though because of these missing images, so that basically means there's a shader issue somewhere. Alpha 50. Oh, that's for that's right, that's for the dot product. Blending, texture blending. So that's the control for texture blending on these terrain sections. That's right, now I remember. So that's what that is. So that basically means there's a missing shader somewhere. So hopefully with the shader dropped in, that should work. Right, okay, so that's that. That's okay. So open final. So gangways, these are all models. Yeah, so brushwork converted to model. Open. Alright, so that's a section of generator. Oops. Okay. Let's open. So there's going to be a lot of those. And I think that was because the map was getting very heavy and wasn't compiling, so it had to be broken up into sections to compile each section to double check that there weren't any issues with the particular sections, I think. But this is a long time ago. So open. So that's the canal section. Yeah. I think these were broken into sections so that they could be compiled to check where. So this is one of the things that you'll probably find you end up having to do in large levels. Is breaking them into sections. Because you have compilation issues, and although you can use the point file to trace where certain errors are, the point file doesn't always necessarily point to the element or the object that is the problem. So it'll highlight broken entities essentially, but it doesn't necessarily point out issues with the map as a whole in terms of finding out whether something is, well, it's basically what's causing the compiler to fail, to bottom out. And it's not always going to be entities. It's sometimes, well, in large maps, it's always going to be the fact that the map is too big. So you end up having to break the level into sections to see how easy a given section can compile and complete, and then you can slowly put them all back together. So basically this is a long-winded version of regioning. Where is regioning? Regioning, which will seal off a section of a map so that you can compile it and check. But for big levels, that's what you sometimes have to do. Open. So that's the final room. With the generators in it. Or is that? Oh no, that's I can't even remember the gameplay. Oh, that's right. I think it goes through here into another section. Open. So 2004, so this is what, so a 2014, 2024, so this is 20 years old, believe it or not. Okay, that looks like it could be. Is that the full? No, that's not the full thing. Yeah, 20 years. That's crazy. Open. Yeah, so those are iterations of the same thing as well. open. We do have the generator, so that's map 1. That's right, because it had to be split into sections or into maps because it was too big. It was too big for Q3 map 2 to compile, so it had to be broken into sections. There's the canal. Yeah, so these are the final source files that will be released, but again they're missing a shade. There's a missing shader, so I'll have to sort these out and drop the correct shaders into place. So that's map 1. Open. Again, these will be the source files that will be released. There's map 2. Although I could have sworn it was a bit bigger than that. Or is that the lift shaft? Where are we? Where's the... Right, so I'm going to go zooming all the way over here. Again, missing shaders. Right, yeah, so that's the lift shaft. So that's the end of the second level. Again, missing shaders, so I'm going to sort those out, see where all those have gone. So you jump on here and then go down, get to the bottom, and then the next final level loads. Open, which is number 3. Open. And that's number 3. Yeah, there's some models missing as well. The 2 generators. No, these were transformers in here. And then the generators, hence the name of the level, were in here. And this is where you have the boss battle. And then the exit. So there was going to be a follow-on to this that starts from this door. So you would be outside. You would be outside and there would be a small train yard here that they would use, well, they would use to bring in, so it would be a tramway. So I think in part of this there's a tramway, and would reuse some of the elements of that to create a tramway which would bring in all the parts and the pieces and the heavy machinery for all of the stuff that's in here. But this next level would have taken you along the side of a lake. So you would be going along the side of a lake down to a dock where you would have to get onto a boat, which is how they bring the stuff in, I guess, on a cargo boat. And didn't quite figure out what to do from there. So you'd get on a cargo boat, or the alternative was just to have the micro railway follow a lakeside, and you end up at a transfer station, a railway station, and transfer onto a train. And not similar to, because obviously this was before Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus, and all the other stuff that brought in the train element. But you would jump on a train and you would be doing things inside the confines of a train. But we never got that far. So maybe sabotage. Maybe you had to sabotage a bridge or something. So you would be travelling along the train for a certain distance and have to get off, jump off, and then sabotage a bridge or something. But never got fleshed out, because of course these things take so much time to make that never came to fruition. So that's one of those ideas. So that would have been the fourth, because essentially the levels are a series. So you go from Major Skulls to, is it Major Skulls, Castle Keep, Relic Hunt, and then Generator. Can't even remember how many single player levels there are. But these are the source maps. These will be, we'll tidy up the missing scripts and then release these source files. Right, so that's Generator. What else have we got in here? Generator 2, what's that? Is that just an early iteration? Oh, right, yeah. Those missing textures are really annoying. Open grill, what's that? Right. Yep. Converted brushwork into a model. Open. This is going to be is that transparent? I think that's transparent. So filter translucent. Yeah. So this was going to be an element of a generator, I think. Just basically a water tank or water filter. It's all obviously brushwork and patches. I can't remember if this was going to be converted into a model or not, but open. So that's water tank, heavy water. Yeah, so this is a slight modification. Instead of having the big water window, it's just a smaller one. But same again, that was going to be an element of generator, but couldn't quite figure out where to put it. Might release some of these brush sections as well, some of these brush-based models. That's essentially what this is. I don't know how much use they will be, but open. Edge test. Open. What's that? Oh, just a hut. Is that I think this is going to crash. Oh no, it didn't. Or did it? Not sure what this is. Oh, yes I do. Oh right, that's a Doom 3. Or is it? Yes, I think this was a Doom 3 project. Don't know what it's doing in here. Weird. Ladder. That's an interesting thing. So for your optimization, depending on the style, instead of doing a square brush volume for your sides, ladder sides, I mean, it doesn't necessarily, I mean, you're losing what? One face? You can use a triangle as your handrails or the rails at the side of the ladder, the supports. I mean, if you've got a lot of ladders, it's a good idea to do it from the point of view of an optimization, but it's not critical. Open. So that's sliders, lamp, what's that? That's brush volume converted to a model. Lamp post. Okay, this is another brush volume. So that was exported as a model. You can do some quite intricate stuff with brush volumes, but it's really tricky. And these are relatively expensive when you start doing things like this. So if you can export them to models, it's a good idea to do that. Open. And post lift. That might be another brush. See, this is another thing that could be exported, not exported, this could be something that's published as well as a standalone asset. Prefab. So what's lift's test? Oh, same thing. Yeah, so this was exported as a model. So the brush volume Sorry, just got a spam bot. Yeah, so this is a model converted from the brush volume. So again, this can be released as source. Open. Okay, that's the section of the map. Open. So that's Major Skulls 2, which is what we discovered the other day on TikTok. So all of this is going to be released as source. I have to find the first level because that's missing. So that will be released. open. Map to AC. Yeah, so there are, it looks like, no, so what's this? Yeah, so this was another conversion. Another section, another brush volume model converted to meshes, ASE. Mega texture test, what's that? Yeah. Model map. Okay, so this is a level with all the available models at the time to make various single player. Don't know if these were all used. This was going to be a village level, if I remember correctly. And you could go inside the house. Let's go to model street 4. Yeah, so inside the house there was going to be something in here. So there's a small town square. And if I remember correctly, there was going to be something where you meet up one of the spies, one of the agents in the town square. But that was a headquarters, I think. So this could be released as a source file as well. It can be used for something. I think it was an assassination. I think that's what that might have been. But so there's the house. The square. So obviously a backdrop needs to be designed for behind here. But maybe you should release that as well. That was a lighting test. Test the compiler's light settings. Models, rock test. There's a lot of essentially junk because that's part of the process of transformers. What's that? There's a lot of, oh right, yeah. Is that down below? Yeah. There's a lot of junk because the process of making these things without concept artwork or design documents basically means that you haven't got anything to particularly map out where you're going with things, so you just test ideas, see where they go. If they work, they work. If they don't, they don't. Right, so this must be a section. Yeah. Yeah, so you end up with a lot of bits and pieces that may not be. Oh, right, this is the final. Yeah, that's the final thing. You end up with bits and pieces because they just don't go anywhere, or the idea that you were thinking of doesn't work. But that doesn't necessarily mean there are mistakes or that's nothing. Mistakes or content that's not useful, because you can sometimes reuse them. Yeah, so that's the terrain element of generator. And that's the thing that that kind of trips people up in many respects, is that they're constantly thinking that they're building something and the thing that they are building has to work. It doesn't always have to work, and it won't always work. But the thing is, being able to, so that's the transformers. Power cut, that's what we're just looking at. Oh right, I see, yeah, quad. So this is making rocks and organic shapes by using quadratic brush volume manipulation rather than tri-soups. And it's very tricky to work with. So yeah, the things that you're making don't necessarily have to work in of themselves, but you can use bits and pieces of them. Power cut, bigger, large, medium, rock test, surets. What's that? You can use sections of them, or cut and paste bits, cannibalize as you see fit. Oh, right, yeah, so that's sewer rats. Yeah, I think this was a Doom 3 project. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, that's from Major Skulls, so we don't need that because the source file's available. So what I'm looking for is Major Skulls, episode 1. I've not yet found it. Open. So that's the cine. Let's try that. Oh, I think this is it. This is them. I thought all of these were lost. Yep, this looks like Major Skulls levels. So these are the source files. That's right, because you come in from, well, you basically the scene, the startup is essentially outside, out here. You crawl through here into this area, and then you have to make your way up the ladder, which is a really long way up. You have to avoid that guy, and then we're into the level. So this is the source file, so that's good. So yes, that's the source file. So this will be released. I think there's a model missing. Oh no, it's there, look. Is that a model? Yeah, so this is the source file, so this will be released. It should be the final one. Right, there's the crane. Then you have to work your way around this. No, that's for the cheat. That's right. So the actual thing goes up through here. I can't even remember how this is played. Through here. Through here. I'm sure there's a bit missing. Is there a bit missing? Unless that's it there. No, that's it. Yeah, so that's where the guards chit-chatting. Then you have to go up this lift. That's right. Okay, right. So yeah. So this is the complete source. Missing textures again, so I'll have to sort that out. Right, and then you make it into the entrance. And depending on which way you go, it will load in the appropriate... No, you can only go down, I think. And that triggers the loading of... So let me just save this. Save as. Oh, does this give me an error issue with saving files? I think it does. Yeah. Right, so I'll have to do that manually. Just have to remember to... So that's episode 1. Just have to remember to copy paste. So that's episode 2. Loading, loading. Yeah, so that's episode 2. So that's the final level as well. So that's the source file for that. Episode 2. Look at all that node linking goodness. How do you go full screen on this? Look at all that. As a project, this took the best part of 18 months to put together. Look at all of that. And that was with 2 people. But that's the source file, so that's going to be released. Now that it's been found or rediscovered, I thought those were lost. So all of those are just iterations of the development. So 2003. So what is that? 22, 23 years ago? 23 years old. 23 years. SPCat 4, what was that? Right, so let's do something. Int, oh, is this? Oh no. Yes, so that ended up being part of generator. Open. Yep, same again. So that was part of, or ended up being part of generator, or was part of generator. So normally your naming convention, this is what threw me. So the naming convention is normally incremental, but SPCAT4 normally would have indicated a fourth single player level, not the fourth component of a section. So that's probably, not quite sure why I used that naming convention. Whoops. Dang it. And we crashed. Oh, so now we have to load up the dang project file again. Scripts. Yeah, so SP8 episode 1, so those are early iterations of the episode, no cutscene. SPCAT 2, same again, iterations of the same thing. What's that? All the way over here. Some steps. Open telegraph pole. So those are models, brush volumes. That will be exported to models. What's that tomb? Nothing. That's an early map. Whoops. Tower, so this is going to be so this was a test. So in terms of themes, this was mentioned in, where's cubic clipping gone? You can build out ideas to get a sense of the theme of what you're doing, and then you can then expand that into a larger level, particularly if you are working on your own and there aren't any other people involved in your project. If you don't have any concept ideas, concept artwork to work from, you have to figure out a way to develop your ideas. And you can have a loose idea of where you're going with something, but you can also just build out sections and work them up into larger ideas. And that's what this is. This is the start of, this became the start of generator. Open, so tower map. So if we go to 6.0, yeah, so this is a more fleshed out version. Filter cork and translucent. Missing textures again. But we then start going into the larger level. Right, we'll call it quits in a minute because we've been going for about an hour or so. Transformers. These were broken up into sections, converted into models so that they could be used as part of an explosion effect, which will be open transformers broken. So these are the broken, blown up transformers. So the bits were models, if I remember correctly, which spawned when the effect, the explosion effect, there they are, when the explosion effect was triggered. So that seems like an appropriate point to stop. Right, so thanks for looking, lurkers. Quite happy by the fact that I found episode 1 and 2 of Major Skulls, which I thought were lost. So those will be eventually soonish be released as source files. For use. Right, thanks for lurking, lurkers, and we'll see you on the next stream, which may be a run through of the finalized source files, but we'll have to see. Right, we'll see you on the next live stream.